Operating in the Courts of Heaven, continuing with Chapter 2. The other significant issue here is that it would be wonderful if the first son had said yes to the Father and fulfilled his desire. This would have been the ultimate, yet it was the son who had first rebelled but later repented that actually did the Father's will. The Lord is so very merciful. Even when we get it wrong initially, he grants us more opportunities to fulfill what our ultimate purpose is. To completely miss the intent and desire of God for our lives requires sustained rebellion in the face of God's faithful dealings with us. We are granted opportunity after opportunity to decide in favor of the decisions of heaven. May we not squander the mercies and grace of God extended to us. For those who do his will, it is because he works in us by his grace to bring us to agreement with him. In Philippians chapter 2 and verse 13 we see, "For it is God who works in you both, to will and to do for his good pleasure." Philippians 2:13. His grace produces in those who will allow it and in agreement with his will and pleasure. We must choose agreement with him. When we do, his grace changes our hearts to agree with him. Not everyone lives out what was established in the counsels of the Lord and then written in the books. We don't have to, but it is our job to discover and fulfill what it is there and bring it to earth in natural forms. This is what we will be judged on in the hereafter. Our judgment will not be so much about this sin or that sin. Our judgment will be based on how closely we lived our lives to what is written in the books of heaven. Not to live our lives out in agreement with the books of heaven is to waste our time here. We may get to spend eternity in heaven, but we will not have fulfilled his kingdom agenda for our life and times here on earth. Mary and I have 6 children. They are all grown now. Well, let's just say they are all of legal age and are all over 20 years old. That would be more truthful. When we had 4 children, the youngest, Hope, was 5. Mary was especially happy because Hope was about to start kindergarten. This would mean that for the first time in many years, she'd be able to have several hours a day when kids were not at home. We were approaching that wonderful time when this would happen. I'll never forget Mary and I going on a trip to a borrowed condo on a golf course. We had ditched the kids somewhere and we're gonna get some alone time, the first time in a long time. There were several other couples that were on this trip. The condo that we were in didn't have enough bedrooms. Therefore, Mary and I were sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I remember waking up the first morning and lying beside Mary. She looked at me and said, "I need to tell you something." I thought in the wonderful moment of peace and quiet, when it was just the 2 of us, that she was going to tell me how wonderful I was and how much she loved me and loved our life together. She then blurted out the words I heard before, "I'm pregnant." I don't know what I said, but it was probably something like, "You're kidding, right?" But no, it was absolutely true. There went our plans down the drain, and at least 5 more years of kids at home before this one would get into school. The truth is that Micah and his brother Mark, the 6th one, yes, we even had another one after this, had been great blessings in our life. But the event I want to tell you about happened when Micah, this 5th one, that we were not expecting, was 10 years old. One night, Mary had a dream. In the dream, she was told that Micah was supposed to have been born to another couple named Michael and Carol, not the Brady Bunch. Carol had been killed in a car wreck, and therefore what God intended to do through them could not occur. Micah couldn't be born into the earth. The problem was that God needed Micah born so he could fulfill his kingdom purpose for God's will to be done on the earth. God chose Mary and I to have Micah instead of the other couple, because Micah had to be born. Isn't that wild? Yet I believe it with every fiber of my being. It was foreordained in the councils of heaven. A book was written as a result of this counsel about and for Micah, and God chose us as a second option to get Micah into the earth. When we received this understanding about Micah's birth, I jokingly said, "God must have been scraping the bottom of the barrel on this one. To have to entrust Micah to us. Actually, I'm quite honored that the Lord would entrust one that he needed in the earth to us. His grace is sufficient for us to impact Micah in the way that is necessary for him to fulfill his book from heaven. All of us are a product of the counsel of the Lord. The Lord thought about each one of us and wrote a book about our lives out of that counsel. Each of us has been birthed into the earth so that his word can be made flesh, and what was written in our scrolls can be fulfilled. When this is done, kingdom influence comes to the earth, and kingdom cultures that look like heaven are revealed."